of the Milwaukee Panthers Sports Network from New York. Welcome to the Bart Lundy Basketball Show.
And I'm coming here to take this fantastic university campus city. And hopefully just turn it on here. You got me okay with that?
Your insider look at all things Panthers basketball. For the head coach himself, Bart Lundy.
So last summer on this floor in this gym, we've talked a lot about being not 2 minutes short. We're not going to have our work leave us 2 minutes short. That's been a motivating factor for us.
Now live from the guest house inside the student union on the campus of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Here is the voice of Panthers basketball, Scott Morris.
All right.
Blustery Monday night. Thanks to all of you who have braved the elements to make your way here inside the guest house. As it is another edition of the Bart Lundy Basketball Show. We'll be with you until 7 o'clock, and we're streaming on YouTube. Hello, Mr. Janicki. I hope you're watching the start of the show this week. We're also streaming the audio live on the Varsity Network app at mkpanthers.com. Coming up here on the show between now and about 7-ish or so, you know, when we stream these things, we have a little flexibility on the time. So for the next hour or so, we will certainly talk about the week that was and what a week it was. A lot of fun. On the court and off the court, it was just a great celebration for this program and for Panthers athletics as a whole, and we'll get into some of that. We'll certainly talk about the wins over Wright State and Northern Kentucky, and there's a lot to get to. We can talk about those two games in the next hour in and of themselves. At the end of the show, of course, we'll look ahead. It's a rather consequential road trip coming up. A couple of tough venues in Youngstown State and Robert Morris. We'll get into that. We have a Youngstown State expert on as well. Johnny Lovelace Jr. is here. He had an excellent week as helping the Panthers to a couple of wins, and we'll talk with Johnny about all kinds of good stuff and have some fun along the way. The coach is here. Team Bus 1 is here. We'll get it going in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Back inside the guest house here inside the UWM Student Union, and would you please give a nice round of applause to head coach. What a difference a week makes, Coach. Last week you sat down and you said, my eyes are crossed. I've been watching film for the last 9 hours over and over and over again. Not that you weren't watching film today, but man, it nothing like the sweet taste of victory is sweet as the soul.
I think it's a Monday. Well, it's Sunday games, so Monday ends up being all film all day. It's a long day.
Still eye crossing. Fair enough.
Yeah.
How would you summarize this week? And not even this week, just the weekend, like, the last 72 hours, I guess, from Friday through now?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the games were great, good outcomes. But beyond that, you know, crowds were really good at the games, and then that team, 20-year anniversary team coming in, and Ed McCann's going into the Hall of Fame. You know, Coach Pearl being kind of back involved with the program. I thought that it couldn't have been much better. I got a couple opportunities to really spend quality time with the guys from that team and explain to them what their legacy has meant even 20 years later, and then also explaining to the team what those guys have meant to where they are now, and you know, they're the shining example. We get up, go to work every day. That's what we're trying to do. They're the example. They're the bar, and there's never a moment that the staff and I don't think about that bar.
You mentioned it in your post-game press conference yesterday after Northern Kentucky, how that Sweet 16 team went into the locker room, and you invited them into the locker room to talk with guys and let the coaches left, and you just let the former players and the current players just talk and get to know each other and explain what it was and what hopefully will be again. Can you share anything more about that? I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't know about that until I watched the press conference.
Yeah, they were all in there. So I did a little breakdown of the game with the guys that we always do, and then introduced Ed to the team because he was, special focus on him being in the Hall of Fame.
Wasn't he good too on Saturday?
Yeah, he was
speech.
awesome.
Oh, he's a natural.
You were really good as well. You're a natural as well. It was a high,
good day.
It was a high level event.
I wish Ed was closer to Marion, Ohio, and he could be around more, but it is what it is.
Yeah. No, he may be. He texted me today, so he may be back and forth a little more. But introduced him. James Wright took us out with the prayer. We circle our hands and have our post-game prayer, and James, Reverend Wright, says a prayer, and then told those guys they came to the front of the locker room and introduced themselves and kind of explained. Honestly, I don't know. Mike could be able to tell you what happened after that. I had to go do the Wars show. The Wars.
We'll talk to Johnny about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk to Johnny about it. But it was a great weekend, and we all got together at Joe's place the night before. And I got to sit with Ed, not only Ed, but his family and his parents and his high school coach at the event. So really special weekend.
And it was capped off by two really impressive performances by your team, and we'll kind of work our way backwards. Hey, look, that's 4 straight games now. You have spotted the opponent a 10-point lead in the first half, and you're 3-1 in those 4.
Yeah.
I say just make it 10-0 and tip it off, and then we go.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, yeah.
No, probably not.
Yeah, probably not. We usually talk about our margins. If we hit our margins, you got to beat us by 10. So if we spot them 10 and we hit our margins, it's an overtime game.
And you went 2-0 in the last couple of weeks there, so fine, do it.
Yeah, well, I will say this, that those 4 games, 3 of them were the other team really making shots. One of them was us. Now, you go back, rewind to Wright State in Northern Kentucky, the same shots they were taking and making early, they were taking the rest of the game, they were taking and missing. I didn't think, watching both of those games back, I didn't think our defense was any different. They're fresher. They were both really jacked up to play us. That's a sweep of both of those teams. It's the first time. I don't know. You probably know all that. Seals with
Ever.
Never. Oh, ever.
Yeah, because we had never swept the Wright State NKU road trip in 1 year.
Yeah.
So the fact that you win both at home since NKU came into the league 10, 11 years ago, first time.
You develop some frustrations, like this coming trip is a frustration for us. you know. But now we're, you know, Northern Kentucky when we got here was, you know, the shining example in the league. And we're now 7-1 against them, and 2 big wins this year. So that has become a frustration for them. So you have matchups where it happens like that, and yeah, but both those teams came in really wanting to win, and we took their best shot and we kept coming.
I used the term mauling to describe what you did on the glass yesterday against Northern Kentucky. When you guys were in Highland Heights, you limited the Norse to just 20 total rebounds, which had been the season low to an opponent. And you do it one better. They only had 19 of them yesterday. I mean, it was, I don't know, men among boys is how it felt, especially in the last 10 minutes of that game or so, when it was just a snowball rolling downhill for you guys.
Yeah, they got tired, and they're only playing 6 guys, 7 guys, and but then, you know, they loaded up the box because we were ball screening them a lot in the top and above the break is what we call it, and they really loaded up there to try to keep the ball out of the paint. But what you give up on the back end is if we do get the ball to the rim, then you got 4 guys above the break, and yeah, we're probably not a great team to have 4 guys above the break. Not to give them ideas on how to guard us, but you know, we talk a lot about we don't handle the ball very well. We're not a good passing team. We do a lot of things really well, but we're not a superior passing team. So let's turn it over at the rim, because in one game this year we got 67% of our misses, which I don't even think that's possible. For the fans, if you get 40% of if you get 30% of your misses, you're a really good offensive rebounding team. If you get 40, you're elite. The 67, we missed 31 shots, got 21 offensive rebounds. That is, it's a record for Division I, and all would have ever made thousands and thousands of games this year. But I don't know if we want to research that further. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of that.
I mean, it's amazing, and just as amazing as ever is Jermichael Stillwell, 15 points, 13 rebounds, so he's now the single-season Division I era, single-season rebound record holder, single-season offensive rebound record holder. He got both of those yesterday with his performances, and you alluded to, I think, as well in the post game about how maybe this is his second wind a little bit. Kind of had a lull. I mean, a Jermichael lull. I mean, for most guys, it's still a great stretch. And maybe now get strong here at the end, a second wind.
Yeah, it's a, you know, for a guy who's never been through a Division I season, it's just longer than you've ever experienced, and it just keeps going. And it's natural, you know, especially with the energy that he plays with, to, you know, come back and, you know, I don't want to say it, maybe I probably said it's a lull. He became human for a while, and you know, he looks like he's trending back to superhuman, and because of some of what he does is superhuman.
We should give him some credit too for his free throw shooting. I may do this here before we play again on Friday night. I kind of want to see. It feels like in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks or so, he has been markedly better than the first couple months of the year. He goes 7 for 10. We can talk about. No. But here's the thing. I'm not a believer in the whole broadcaster jinx thing. Is that where you're going with that? No, I don't believe in that. What if I talk about it? He's supposed to. No, come on.
Anybody else?
No, come on. All right. Well, I'll change this on.
It's your fault.
Oh, gee. He's gonna on Friday. He'll look over to me and go, see. All right. I'll change the subject. I can change the topic. How about the fact that Aaron Franklin? In 17 minutes and 51 seconds of the game yesterday is plus 19. Now, plus 19 in less than 18 minutes played. It's just.
Was that yesterday?
That was yesterday.
He was plus 17 in 27 minutes against Wright State. Yeah, he's been the, you know, kind of the missing. He and D'Lo, you know, not having those guys for those long stretches and then for a while not having Faison, and really still trying to get Faison back in the fold and going. But that has been the difference in their team. And people forget Eric Franklin's a junior college All-American. He made 100 threes in junior college, and he's never been able to get the traction here that we thought he would, and we think he will. Same with D'Lo. D'Lo's starting to really get there. But the injuries for both of those guys have set them back, and now we've got those guys trending the right way. Faison's just been through it. I mean, you're talking about the 2 broken fingers, then the ankle, and now the broken pinky, and I don't know, we need to check his calcium levels or something. I think he and Zills have calcium deficiencies. You need to drink some milk, Zills. But getting those guys back in the fold and playing at their best. Like I just watched our first Youngstown game. Faison was an absolute terror. First team all league post player in that game, and then he gets all these setbacks. So, hopefully we got a couple weeks here to get them all going the right way. But having Aaron back is huge.
You have so many weapons. How difficult is it to find the workable lineups? And especially, you talk about some of the defensive lineups that we saw on Friday night against Wright State, and some successful lineups shown in the plus minus that we already talked about. I mean, it is kind of an embarrassment of riches. It's a problem, but it's a good problem. So how do you and your staff, in the heat of the moment, are you looking at numbers? Are you looking at analytics? Are you playing the field game in terms of this combination of guys at this point? Because you have more combinations of guys at any one point in the game than any other coach in the league this year. So you have more pieces on the table.
Yeah, for me, it's not difficult because I'm watching the game, and it's not rocket science. If somebody was cooking us and we need to go to a different guy, and somebody's playing with confidence and somebody else is not, then I'm going to roll with them, and you try to make it not emotional, which is hard. Guys earn time, and then you get to the game, and maybe things go differently, and you're thinking in your head, well, he's really practiced well, but it matters when the lights come on, and the ultimate goal is to win the game. So you got to put all that aside, roll with the guys that are playing well. What I would say is give our guys credit, because it takes a lot of character. You're gonna have Johnny Lovelace on. That guy has sacrificed so much this year, and I know in his mind he knows it's going to take off. But he's sacrificed so much. Lyric Davis didn't get any time, and he's a good player. And he, for a while, maybe hadn't earned it, but he has been earning it for a long time now in practice. So, and then Eric Pratt has a bad game on Friday night.
You can see it on his face when he walked off. Even in victory, you can see
Yeah,
it.
he was getting cooked. But it is a step for Eric and I told him this, I was so proud of him on Sunday, because he showed up with a shoot around ready to go, and he came in, and we needed every bit of Eric Pratt against Northern Kentucky, and he was fantastic. And he goes from minus 16 on Friday,
Right.
minus 16 on Friday to plus 30. Again, things you don't see.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm really proud of Eric for that.
It's 35 points in 2 games against Northern Kentucky for Pratt. And the 15 he had yesterday was a lot different than the 20 he had at their place. It was inside the arc. It was cutting, slashing. I can settle for the mid-range. He's got a nice floater. I mentioned it when they were in the first half on the opposite end of the floor. He's got a pretty advantageous wingspan, and he's able to, if he needs to, kind of float one up over an outstretched arm if he has to.
Well, really, too, what happened was Northern Kentucky was, playing really well. It took Themis out for a while, Eric was running the point, and Eric can see over that top of the zone. And really you learn as you go, because I think putting Eric at the top of the zone and having Themis attacking from maybe the sides a little more, where his size isn't a disadvantage against them. He can punch it to the middle, would really be effective, and it may be like that, for Oakland too. We struggled. Part of the reason we struggled is they kept us on top, and we just couldn't. We could run whatever below the break, but we just couldn't get the ball there. And Eric's able to see over. He's able to shoot over, and that versatility, is what you're talking about. He's really good. He's his own nightmare in a lot of ways.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the defensive performances, because the ability to erase double-digit deficits and victories come from the stops. Yeah, you got to make shots, but you got to stop them on the other end of the floor. And you guys did that both against Wright State and against Northern Kentucky. So we'll talk a little defense as we continue.
All right.
Back inside the Bart Lundy Varsity Network at mkpanthers.com. Johnny Lovelace Jr. is here, and he will join us coming up in the next segment. I do want to talk a little defense, Coach. You holding the 70 yesterday, and I know the game on Friday went overtime, and they go 80, but it's how you guys defended. If you go overtime on Friday night, to blitz them early and to get into their leg. Okay, so we talk zigzag, and you talk zigzag defense all the time. And for those folks who were at the game, at the arena, listening, watching, whatever, like these two games, this is when the zigzag shows itself. It's those last 5-6 minutes of regulation or overtime where you have worked their legs to fatigue.
Yeah, and the depth, obviously,
Yeah.
Along with that. But even going back to the IU Indy game, we scored the last 7 points in regulation, last 7, and they were done. I mean, they were gassed, and so was Wright State. You're welcome, Green Bay.
The Phoenix are off the schneid.
Yeah, and then
You talk about a long road trip. You talk about I don't know if Wright State flew or bus. I don't think it really matters. That's a long ride back to suburban Dayton, Ohio.
There are certain times as a coach that you question everything about your existence in that. That could be your Wright State right now, but they'll recover. They got good leadership and good players. But yeah, the full court pressure, we haven't been as good at it this year. We've kind of had to manipulate it. Like Wright State, when our 1-2-2, they really hurt it. We couldn't get matched up. We tried to go 2-on-2, which is matching what they do, and ended up just going zigzag. And a little bit the same way with Northern Kentucky, but it does a couple things. It wears them out, and it makes. If you look at our defensive numbers, when we're able to set our full court defense, our defensive numbers are good. But when we set our full court defense, they're as good as anybody in the country. So that part of the defense and only having to guard really in half court for 20 seconds makes us hard to, it messes up your time. It messes up everything.
The guy who was sitting in between us last Monday on the show, AJ McKee, did a lot, and he has been, but in his homestand in particular, doing a lot of things that probably don't show up on the box score that we have, and you gotta dig into the analytics a little bit more. Can you just speak to what you asked of AJ and what he gave you in the last two games?
Yeah, I mean, you'll never see it in the stats, but he might be the weekend MVP. We're at Wright State, they're making every shot. They're just on fire. They're really good offensively, and AJ just willed our guys. Like, if we're gonna win the league, we gotta go. And when things look bleak, he just kept plowing through. And then we did with Hubricks. I know Hubricks made the last one, but he did a job on him. And then fast forward to Northern Kentucky, our ball pressure out front was elite, and a lot of that was AJ and busting them. KP was really good too. It's the best ball screen coverage KP's ever seen KP have. And then I looked down at AJ. I took him out right before the last 4-minute media timeout, and
Of the first half?
of the second half. And I look at him, and you can just see in his eyes he's exhausted. He is exhausted, and that is not offensive exhaustion. Like, he is giving everything he can on that defensive end. And I looked at him and said, I know you're really tired, but if they cut into this lead at all, you got to go back. So drink Gatorade, get some air, and be ready to go. But that's how important he is to us. And when we get stops, we score. I don't know if we're still number one in the country in fast break points, but it's because when we get stops, we're really fast. So he might not be scoring those fast break points, but a lot of times he's the catalyst on that defensive end that's getting us those stops. That gets those fast break points.
When you're zigzagging them, or when you're pestering them enough in the back court that they're not crossing the timeline until there's 22, 23, 21 on the shot clock, and then they get across the midcourt stripe, and the ball pressure along the perimeter is what it is. I mean, my gosh, they can't get into anything, any action, set or otherwise, until there's 10 seconds left on the clock, and then it's kind of like a scramble situation.
Yeah, you end up guarding a lot more of their breakdown offense and not the coach over there, trying to rip you up with, special sets and slips and, counters. And so it's advantageous in a lot of ways. It's what we do.
Hat tip to Will Britsky. Thank you, Will, for the statistical analysis. When I need it, I go to Will, and that's why he sits next to me, well, not next to me, but across the aisle. We don't share a seat. Although if you want to, Will. No? AJ McKee is the #1 guy in the plus minus this year. He's plus 7.3
Wow.
on the roster. But KP's 7.1, I think it was. So if you look at the average plus minus, AJ's #1 on the squad.
Yeah.
Doing that to the floor, without a doubt.
I would have thought Jemichael would. AJ would have
6'9" or something like that. To be able to do all that, like we talked at the top, and we'll take a break in just a second and bring in Johnny, but just to kind of put a bow on the weekend, and there's so many things. The 10 turnovers in both games, and like you've said many times, you turn it over If we don't turn it over, we're tough to beat. Your team is difficult to beat.
If we don't turn it over and we make any threes at all, we're almost impossible to beat. You know? We tweaked some things. I know we're not going to get into depth,
No,
but
don't give away the secrets.
Wright State was all man-to-man, and we changed kind of what we were doing, and those guys had to buy into it. And it took a little bit during that game for it to really click and for us to get some game experience with it. But Themis was awesome, and we took care of the ball, and we had 2 turnovers in the second half.
Yeah.
And then, you know, part of what Northern Kentucky does, we couldn't do that against Northern Kentucky because you want zone offense or, you know, stuff to attack them. But part of their whole thing is if they turn you over on live ball turnovers and get fast break points, that's their margins. You know, we have our margins, that's their margins. And if we only turn it over 10 times against them, then they're gonna have a heck of a problem beating us.
Would you like a fun fact from the win over Wright State?
Yeah, have fun.
Fun. Themis folks, 21 points, 12 assists, no turnovers. That is the second most assists in a game without a turnover in Panthers, second most. T. John Lucas.
We're trying to fight second places.
T. John Lucas had 13 assists without a turnover. He also had 21 points in that game. How about that?
Yeah, that's fun. That's a good
I'd
fact.
love to, you know what, if we could somehow go back and, I'd love to see a Lucas Folks matchup. Would that be fun?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So, Panthers are sitting 1 game out of first place in 4th. It's crazy how jumbled this is, and we'll get into it towards the end of the show. 18-9, 11-5, and heading to Youngstown State and Robert Morris. Friday night, 8 o'clock, by the way. 8 o'clock Central is the tip-off time. It'll be telecasted on ESPNU, and then it'll be Sunday afternoon. But we'll talk about that in just a little while more, because when we come back, Johnny Lovelace Jr. will join us. And we welcome you back inside. E-Bus 1 is assembled. Thanks to everybody for braving the, I think it's like 1 degree outside right now. Tomorrow's going to be even colder, so thanks for everybody for coming out here today. Would you please welcome Johnny Lovelace Jr. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. What was, I mean, Coach and I just spent 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes talking about the week that was, the weekend that was. Like from the player's perspective, what were the last 72 hours like for you guys? In the locker room, on the court, I mean, just what's the vibe right now?
I feel like the energy is really different because good teams win now, so it's good that we're starting to pick up this energy now. It's a different feeling going into the locker room, just knowing that it's time to get really serious about this thing if we want to get to where we want to get to where we want to get to.
What was the mindset? What was the messaging going into Friday night? Like as you guys embarked on the last weekend on these two games, what was the thinking? What was the mindset? And kind of how did it all play out?
It started in practice. We want to win. If we want to win the league, we have to win now. So just taking it game by game and step by step and working towards that goal first, winning the league, and just taking each game at a time.
And you're somebody who knows what it takes to win a regular season championship. I mean, you did it at Youngstown State a couple of years ago, so you kind of know the intangibles and the pieces as they come together. Coach and I were talking about all the pieces, and he referenced you as you were sitting back there and the role you have and the position you put yourself in and recognizing how the pieces have to fit. Has that been hard? Has it been easy? How would you describe kind of the season for you to this point?
At the beginning it was hard adjusting, figuring things out, but I feel like right now is the time that we do want to excel, and I feel like I'm excelling more. I'm more confident than I was at the beginning, and I feel like a lot of guys are as well. So just going through this whole thing, a lot of ups and downs, and I feel like we're going to excel and we excelled this weekend, which was big, and that confidence is just going to keep us rolling, I feel like.
When did that change for you, or when did it click? You said, early in the season, the confidence wasn't as high as it is right now. Like, was there a game? Was there a moment? Was it in a practice, or how did that play out?
More recently, February is the month where the good teams win. So just, you have to really lock in and knowing what your role is and role identity, and just figuring out how to be the best version of yourself for the team.
Coach, to hear that is music to a coach's ears, because there has to be at some point a selflessness by players on every roster every year, especially the special teams, especially the championship level teams, and that's what you need to make it all work.
Yeah, and whether you're the considered the leading scorer, or Reese, on our team, who's a walk-on, everybody has to sacrifice something, and everybody has to give everything, and that's the hard part. And Johnny is so talented, and he has with those 4 senior guards, I was staring at that every day. It's daunting, like those guys, and there are days that he's just killing them, and it's gone to probably this time where he's playing at his peak confidence level, and the peak confidence that I have in him has really developed over this last month, and he is becoming that guy that I look to and go, okay, AJ and Johnny, you guys got to go in, and y'all got to stop these runs, stop this team, and then Johnny's learned in our system where to pick his spots and where to take the ball and where to push it, where not to push it, and I will say this about Johnny, he really he doesn't say a lot, but he's always observing and learning, and you can see his wheels turning in practice. Sometimes I'll try to push his buttons to get him going. He doesn't know that sometimes. So I think, Johnny, you got to show where you got to be here, and he'll just say, "I'm here, coach. I'm here." But I'm trying to get more, because there is so much in there. But I think these last 3 or 4 weeks that we have, and however long this goes, I think Johnny could be the swing vote in where we go. When I look at our team, I go, okay, Johnny and Aaron Franklin, we might just go as far as those guys can take us. And those senior guards are gonna work. Michael's gonna go get some rebounds, and Faison and Duff are gonna do Jamaica, Aaron Franklin and Johnny Lovelace, where they're going to take us, where we're going to go with these guys. And I think both of them are starting to hit their stride, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Because those are the guys that other teams that you're going to play don't have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they have some guards, they got a guy that can rebound, but now we're working down the depth chart and those impacts off the bench, and those are the guys the other teams don't have.
6'2" guards are looking at Johnny and aren't you supposed to be guarding somebody down low block? So he makes it tough on him. And he's great offensively, but those you can just see it. Those guards look at him like you're not supposed to be guarding me, and I think Johnny takes a lot of pride.
We had a couple weeks ago, I guess we had D-Lo here, and we talked about local ties and things like that, and starting your career, for folks who don't know, started your career collegiately with a couple of years at Youngstown State. We're going to talk about Youngstown State. You can give us a little insight maybe on the Penguins here and what that place is going to be like on Friday night. Is there an element of pride being a local kid, playing for the hometown team? Because I know it's something that Coach Lundy really stressed when it was, his turn to take over the program and turn things around. Is that something that you take a sense of pride in?
Oh yeah, I love being from here, born and raised here. So, and my family's here, so that's one of my biggest motivations for my family. So, just being able to see them in the crowd at the games and being able to go home and get a home cooked meal, just being here has been a blessing, really. So.
Well, was that a hard decision? I mean, I know that there was the coaching change at YSU, so anytime there's a coaching change across the country at every team, now that the players have flexibility and mobility to move around and they have a decision to make. Was that a hard decision, or how did you kind of go through that? Because a lot of guys are in that position nowadays.
I wouldn't say it was a hard decision because when Coach Jose Winston called me, he's been a big part of my life, and I wouldn't
talk about that. Talk about the connection with Jose.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in probably playing college basketball without him. So he played a big role in my life, and when he called me, it was like I gotta go here. Like, he's done so much for me. So yeah, that was probably the biggest thing. When he called me, it's like, oh, that coach is calling me. So it's a mentor to me. So I feel like it was like a must. I remember that Coach Lundy, you talked about when you took over and you kind of looked at the roster, and there wasn't a lot of local ties, and I know that that's something, and you don't want, and I know you're not just going to bring in local guys because they're local guys. You want talented players who are local guys, and that's exactly what you have, and Johnny's obviously one of them, but that's important, I know, to you.
Yeah, and we constructed the staff, to try to, Jose and Ben are from here. And nothing against the previous staffs, but I think there was a time where Coach Jeter had been burned by some of the actions of local players that he had on the roster, and he kind of went away from that. And then Coach Baldwin they verbalized that they didn't really recruit the area that much. And then I thought that was something we needed to change. We're still not getting the guys that we really want out of the state right off the bat, but we're starting to like Johnny. And Johnny, had we been here earlier, maybe we had a shot at Johnny. But he came in when he was going to Youngstown to pick up with our guys, and he just went down the lane and dunked on everybody. And I'm going, why is he not here? Why is he not here?
I thought the same thing when you dunked on BJ in overtime. I thought, why is he not here?
Yeah.
Somebody tweet BJ like that.
Yeah. And I thought that was going to be our biggest.
He's still not over it.
That's what it'll be between BJ and Johnny. That's epic. But, we want to try to get as many of these guys as we can, and I think we're now embarking on our third straight 20-win season. So the local coaches are starting to trust us, and development, and we're making guys better, and we're helping them, become pros and things like that. And I think you'll start to see more and more guys come out. And we do want the right ones. You know, Wright State had, a couple of Wisconsin guys. And maybe one of those we want. Northern Kentucky, I coached Dilling at Queens, and then they had Gerzinger, who wanted to come here. And there's going to be guys that we don't take that we don't feel like are a great match. Johnny's perfect. He was born to play in our system and play for Milwaukee. And we got to sort that out. But yeah, we want those local guys.
Johnny, can you help with that in the recruiting? If there's a visit with a local kid, do you connect with them and stuff like that? Do you feel like you could be an advantage to the community? Hey, I'm here, you should be here too.
Yeah, I actually think I could be, because a lot of the local basketball players, we usually all know each other, so that plays a big part in just knowing somebody, or knowing somebody from knowing another person. So just having that, being from the same place and knowing somebody, we're gonna know somebody that we both know. So
Yeah.
I feel like that can be a big part in the recruiting process.
Networking is so important. Let me
Saw
say,
Johnny and D'Lo's dad after the game. It's pretty cool to see, that they get to know each other. Two tough dads.
Yeah, they've been friends since me and D'Lo played AAU together for Phenom. So
you got a good D-Lo story? For the two of you?
we got a lot of D'Lo stories.
You can share on the air?
We played against Bronny, and LeBron was coaching that game,
Okay.
and we ended up winning the game. And then after the game, we didn't get to shake LeBron's hand because our teams started having a little scuffle.
How was that that game? How was that that
Were you?
game? Yeah, that was in Augusta, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. Jake is with me, Coach Williams.
Yeah.
And Jake's the biggest LeBron fan. The biggest LeBron fan. So he goes down, he's trying to get closer and closer to LeBron, who's got his own little section at the baseline. And he wants to get a good picture of LeBron. And somebody else takes a picture, and it goes out on social media, and it goes viral on social media. And there's Jake stalking in the background. That's pretty good. I remember that game.
I heard LeBron is paying attention to Horizon League basketball. Let's take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to talk a little Youngstown State game, and then we'll have 5 questions for Johnny Lovelace Jr. One more segment here on Johnny Lovelace Jr. and then Coach and I'll wrap things up. All right, Johnny. So, as we said, 2 years as a Youngstown State Coach and I have talked about the battles of just a couple of seasons already there at it's not been, we'll call it renovated, remodeled, a big league center. I think they have a new seating bowl down there now, so I don't know if the fans are quite as on top of us as they used to be. Chris Hills will be happy to hear that. Ask him about it next time. But that place, on Friday night, national TV, ESPNU, it'll be at 8 o'clock Central start, 9 o'clock Youngstown start time. What can you tell your guys, because as Coach Lundy has said, to put our guys in the best position, they got to prepare them to understand as best they can what they're going to go into, what that place is going to be like. I imagine you can help with that.
Mm-hmm.
How?
I mean, that place is going to be crazy. So it's a readout, so they take that pretty seriously. So it'll be probably sold out, and it's an ESPN game, so they'll probably try to advertise it as much as possible. And it'll be a sold out game, and we'll be playing in front of a lot of people who don't like the Panthers.
That's for sure. Coach, I imagine you could lean on this guy here to help educate the new Panthers who have never been to the Big League Center before, let alone been there for a game of this magnitude.
Yeah. Johnny will be able to tell them what it's going to feel like, and we've got a few guys that have been there, but it is a hard place to play. You feel like the fans are right on top of you. They're loud. They got some that are not nice. Some rough characters in the crowd. But we don't have Johnny Lovelace over on the other side dumping on us. So that's positive.
That is true. What can you offer? I mean, the Panthers, you guys have seen YSU already once. You beat them here at Panther Arena, but you see that team, because they do have like 6 or 7 guys still on that roster from last year. I mean, they got a pretty good contingent to stick around despite the coaching change. What insight can you offer, even having played them once? I realize that, but still knowing them better than any other player.
They're gonna come ready to play, and it's gonna be a war out there. I know Faulkner's probably gonna push them hard this week, motivate them for this game, and the players are gonna be motivated. It's not like it's not gonna be an easy game. Like none of the games are easy in the Horizon League, so we're gonna have to come out there, put our big boy pants on, and take what's coming.
Yeah. Do you stay in touch with any of those guys at all that you played with?
Well, the guy that I stay in touch with the most, he's injured, so he's not really playing.
Okay.
But that was my roommate last year. He's one of my best friends.
Who's that? Which one?
Emmanuel Zorgo.
Sure.
And then EJ, I'm pretty close with him. That was one of my guys last year. We talk from time to time, joke a little bit about the season, things of that nature.
Will you talk this week before the game, or is it like radio silence? We're not going to communicate until I see you, maybe, and nod hello, and then I'm trying to beat you.
No, we're not friends this week.
That's good. Good answer. Good answer. Yeah. All right. Speaking of good answers, in the time-honored tradition of these conversations, Johnny Lovelace Jr., we're going to play 5 questions, okay? First answer that comes to mind, don't overthink it. Question number 1. As a child, your least favorite chore to do was?
Wash the dishes.
How to answer. Number 2, do you speak any foreign languages?
No, I do not.
If I could wave a magic wand and you could speak a second language, what would it be?
Probably Spanish fluently.
Okay. Number 3, the one restaurant in the Milwaukee area, southeastern Wisconsin, that you go to if you want a nice meal. Where's the spot that you can go to?
Major movies.
Oh, he's being good
got
sponsors. Number 4, would you rather not have class on Thursday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday? Which side of the weekend would you rather have class canceled? Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday?
Good question.
Monday, Tuesday.
Good answer. Yes. That is the correct answer, actually. Everybody always says Thursday, Friday, but no, Monday, Tuesday is
We're Thursday, Friday, guys.
Number 5. Did you watch any of the NBA All-Star stuff when you got home last night?
I mean, I just watched the highlights.
Okay. what would you change about the NBA All-Star Weekend if you could? Because there is a lot of hand-wringing and hemming and hawing over just the disinterested fan base of the setup. What would you change about the NBA All-Star Game if the commissioner came to you and said, Johnny, how do I fix this so that the guys are engaged and the fans are watching and all that?
I mean, I don't like how the game is only played to 40 points. I think it was. I wish it was regular game and regular substitution. It was advertised better.
What did they have? Like 3 mini games. It was like a little mini tournament. You only played a 40. Yeah, I'm not sure. Somebody said, what do you think about this? If they did like USA versus the world, you know, all the international players on one team and the American players on another.
Yeah, I suggested that.
I mean, I like the regular, the East and I like the East and West.
All right, traditional.
Yeah, traditional.
Fair enough. Okay, the bonus question is this. Who is the one basketball player, past or present, dead or alive, that you would want to play one-on-one against and then have an opportunity to sit down and talk and ask all the questions in the world to him? Who is that player? LeBron. And you came this close to having that happen. Almost, and then the scuffle started. What would you talk to him about? Like if he's sitting right here in front of the table, what's the first topic that you would want to talk to him about?
I mean, just he's the greatest of all time to me. So, how does he keep his body that way for so long? And just like what is he doing for his body to be the way it is at 40?
That's amazing. Is he 41 now or is he 40?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think 40.
He's 40.
No, I know he's 40.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right. Johnny Lovelace Jr., thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. It's good to have you back home and dunking for the Panthers instead of against the Panthers. And
Yeah.
Final segment on a Monday night. Welcome back. We have 2 more scheduled shows here on Monday nights. Next Monday, we will recap the YSU RMU trip and preview the last 2 games of the regular season. And then the following Monday, it's going to be conference tournament time already. That's pretty wild. All right, Coach, we kind of got into it right there with Johnny about Youngstown State and what they present, but the big picture here, big road trip, big games, all those adjectives fit because you're just 1 game out of first with 4 to play.
Yeah, we, with everything, ups and downs of the conference season, it boils down to really these last 4, and then we've got a chance. We've got a hard road ahead of us. We've got road trip that we haven't done well the first 2 years. We've got Oakland coming back, but from the beginning we've told the guys 15-5 is probably going to win the league, and more than likely we would need to go 4-0 in these next 4. But rewind that. Youngstown State, we played really well when they played us here, and they were without E.J. Farmer, who was a good piece of what they do. We're going to have to take the lessons we learned from that game, and we had a really good phase on that game. He was healthy, he was confident, he was a major part of that win. And we got to take those lessons and see how that we attacked them that was effective and how we guarded them. But they are really good at home. Their numbers are drastically different at home than they are on the road, almost as much as anybody, you know, in the league. And so we've got our work cut out for us. We need a good week of prep. But I think 2 years, if you rewind 2 years ago, the game Johnny and I were talking about, you and Johnny were talking about, I don't think at that point I prepared our guys as well as they needed to be prepared. And I didn't realize how important that was to Youngstown and how Milwaukee had not been there. I think I came in and I played in so many of those games and so many years in a row that I just assumed that we all were going to be on the same page, and we got hit hard. And so our job as a staff this week is to get them, exactly what Johnny said, is to get them mentally ready for the environment, for the physicality of what's about to happen, and to make them realize not only how badly we want it, but they want it too. And they're going to have, you know, they're a team that wants it, but then, you know, however many thousand fans that want it, and calls are going to go against you, and you're going to have to overcome all of that. So as much as we want to X and O, and it's a mental mindset going in here, and that's what we got to do the next few days.
Friday night, it'll be 8 o'clock, the tip-off, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and it'll be televised on ESPN. You will have the radio broadcast for you as always, and then it is Sunday afternoon at Robert Morris, and we'll be back on Monday to talk all about it. Coach, best of skill this weekend.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks to Johnny Lovelace Jr. for joining us. Thanks to all of you.